Hello and welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Nancy and I am the Public Safety Program Manager with TCP Software. I've worked with the Aladtec scheduling system for many, many years, so I'm pretty well versed with it. I'm excited today to walk you through what it can do for you and for your department. As you may know, we do offer free trials of Aladtec. So you can sign up for those. If you were to sign up and for a generic demo, you would receive an email right away and you could start playing around with it immediately. But we also have customized demos if you prefer that option. That one you can give us a call. You could even sign up and mention that you want the customized one. And then we have our solutions consultants who will actually upload the roster and add in your schedules. So then you can play around with it and it'll be, just like you using it with your own people and everything. So that might help you give a better idea of what it really looks like for your department. Both those options are free, so I just wanted to throw that out there so you know that it's something to be available for you. Today we're going to be walking through the system, and basically I wanted to be able to touch on a few things here. One is the member database, which just holds a lot of the members' information here. Also, what you set up in the system itself on access levels and work groups and all of that as well. Schedule views, we have a number of different views that people often like to look at of the schedules and positions and all of that. We have our own forms library, basically, of over 200 plus pre-made forms that you can look through, you can use, and also even create your own. So we'll walk through that a little bit. And then we'll just touch on reports as well, because obviously everything you put into it, you want to get something out of it. And we do have questions and answers, of course. So in your GoToWebinar, there's a little questions tab. Feel free to throw in questions in there. It's just me today doing this. I usually have somebody that kind of monitors the Q&A. Since I don't, I will try to get to those questions. If for some reason I don't get to them by the end of the webinar, I just I will email you personally then just to give you the answer to your question. So just to give you an update on that. All right, so let's go ahead and take a closer look at one of the systems. I'm going to switch over to the system I got here. We're going to come up into our home page of the system. I should mention too, before I get too far in, we are recording this webinar, so if you get pulled away or you want to be able to look at it later or share it with somebody else in your department, I will be sending those to you in an email, so you'll have a recording of the webinar as well. So just to let you know. So coming into the system here, when a person is a customer, they're assigned a keyword, which is basically how they get into the system and they can log into the system. Basically, it's the aladtec.com, and I'm going to actually pull it back a little bit so you can see here. It's aladtec.com / and then you're assigned a keyword here. In this case, it's Law Webinar, which is my training system basically that I want to walk you through. And so by doing that, you can log in and it's just your system. You can log into that on your mobile, desktop, laptop. It's always that same process. So when you come into your home screen here, just so you're aware, this home section here in the middle tab here is all being able to be customized by you. We have what's called the homepage editor, and that just allows you to enter in like your own logo, pictures, even videos, anything that you want to put in here to show to your department or something, or communication, you can do that here. One of the other things that we have on here is the dashboard on the right-hand side here. And this is going to be displayed for anybody, whether you're a top-level administrator in the system where you can do anything, down to a member who comes in and is just focused on their own schedule. But the dashboard gives you a really good summary of everything that's going on in the system. If you're at a level of like a manager, supervisor, higher, where you have people reporting to you, you may see like actionable items, things that you need to address. It could be that your people have submitted extra hours, or they've swapped a trade and you need to approve it. They've signed up for some open shifts, or even time off, they put in time off. So all of this stuff can actually be done right from here. If you wanted to, you can click on it from here. Process the time off request, see who's requested and what time, what the vacation time is, and the PTO tracking as well, if that is something that's set up. And you can go ahead and approve or deny that request right from here. The other portion here is the My Schedule section, and I'm actually going to go into I think I have a top level administrator here of David Smith. Just to give you a better idea, this would be like the upcoming shift then for David, so you can see what's coming up, as well as information expiration. So in the member database, we have an expiration date field. A lot of people use that for tracking licenses and certifications, but it can be used for anything. As these dates come up to be expired, or these licenses are becoming expired soon, it will give you that information here, so you're notified of that. Same thing for the members. They're going to come in and see for themselves too if they have any certifications that are about to expire, and they can address them. Then there's the events. If there's any kind of events that are put into the system, those will be listed here, those that are upcoming. And of course, there's always these little, quick access to view everything. It takes you to the events tab and the My Schedule, things like that. And then of course, if there are any available trades going on at this time and any discussions, we actually have a discussion section in the system as well, this feature, where you can pretty much communicate within the system to members, to supervisors, vice versa. All that can be done in the discussions tab. So moving on, I wanted to come into the members tab. And in the members tab, we've got our member database. Of course, it's got all the information. People can come into their My Info page, and this is actually their profile. It holds, everything to be stored in here. And of course, it's the same fields for everybody in here. We even have the member database configurator, in which case your supervisors or top level administrators can come in here and actually add more information. They can change information. Typically, people will have it set up and they go with it, but there might be later on, there might be some more information you want to, start adding into the database. We have easy drag and drop tools. So if you wanted to add a multiple option in here, you just basically drag it right over, enter in what you want to have for the options here, and you can save it and start using those fields. These are if I can find one here, is the expiration date. Those are the expiration date fields where you can have people enter in what is actually going to be expiring. We can put that in here as well. So that's just the configurator. So as we're in the member database, I often like to say this is almost kind of a reporting function itself, just in itself. It doesn't fall under the reports, of course, but there's so much information in here that you can really extract and use. In order to filter a lot of this stuff, we have in the upper right-hand corner, and you'll find this throughout the system, is we have a filter drop-down section, and then we have an edit link. The drop-down section is really system filters that are already established for you. And then as you are doing any kind of editing, you can save some filters and they would be your own filters. So if it's something that you often want to come in and see, you can save it and just very easily come in and click on it. So if I was just looking at emergency contact info, I can pull that up and it's going to show me the information. And just so you know, I am using this as a, kind of my training system. So it is just fake names and information. So there isn't any privacy issue with that going on. If I wanted to do some additional filtering, I click on the edit link and I can choose to see, this kind of information. And then this is where down here, I could save as well, save it as my own filter to pull at any time. We also have the member filters where you could add additional information, and maybe you wanted to see everybody that is, a full-time employee, and you can narrow it down that way. So that comes up as well. The other thing I wanted to be able to show you is when you do pull up some of this information, all of these columns, if you click on the column heading, you can sort it in A to Z, Z to A. You can also right from here click on these fields within the database and actually make changes. So you don't actually have to go into the form itself. But you could, if you hover over their name, you can do edit member, and you'll be brought right into their profile page. In the profile page, I'm going to actually go into David Smith, since he's a top level, so we can show you a little bit more of what a top level administrator will see. When you come into their profile page, basically there's some required fields, right? Their first name, last name, username. And we do also require an email, primary email in the system. So if you were to actually add a new member, we want to make sure that is put in there, because then you can actually generate a password and it will send an email to the new member. And they can actually then create their own password themselves. So there's nobody else knows what that is, and they would come right into here when they log into the system. So this kind of stores a lot of information as far as how they are assigned in the system. We have access levels and work groups, pay periods, profiles, employee type. All this can be entered in as to what group they fall under. The other section here is our basically the general messaging. You can have as many emails as you want, but we do assign a primary just so that you know that password can be generated when needed. The email. And then you have your mobile phone provider and mobile phone you're going to put in here as well. A section here that the person's profile that they're going to want to update would be the notifications that they want to receive within the system. So anytime there are, like if they submit a time off request, you can actually come in here and say, yep, when I do this, I want to get both an email and a text of whether I'm approved or denied for time off. Or maybe you just want text, you can do that as well. And same for any other alerts, for coverage alerts, form notifications, that kind of thing. You can choose how you want to receive that information. Now, a member would just see this part of it because that pertains to them. As a supervisor or a top-level administrator, you're also going to have a section which is for what other people, you get notifications for about other people that report to you. This can be sorted by access level or work group, or I should say how you want to receive the information by work group or access level. If you want to see email and text or just text or email, you can do that as well. And based on that work group or access level, choose how you want to receive the information. It's really a nice way to filter that because obviously if you've got a lot of people that are directly reporting to you, you can narrow that down a little more efficiently so that you aren't getting, thousands or hundreds of emails every day for that. Then we have a section in here that's the work qualifications. And this is what actually determines what a member is allowed to be on for schedules and what positions they're allowed to be on. So typically, this information is going to be filled out, of course, by the top level administrator or supervisor when they're adding members. And based on the setup of the system, this part of it is something where the general member isn't able to change. That's something that the supervisor would set up. Then we have a section that if it's an option that you like to use is we have accrual profiles. So within the system, if you want to go ahead and you have a bank of hours, if you want the accrued vacation time or PTO time on a monthly pay period, whatever it is, you can have the system will automatically deposit those hours into their bank. And then as they use it, if they submit time off, it gets deducted from those bank of hours as well. So it's kind of a one place to look as a member in addition to the reporting for them to see how much hours they have left. And then in this bottom section, of course, as I showed you, it's all customizable. You can bring in any kind of information that you want to start tracking as well in here. So that's the profile itself. Within the member database, there's additional information. We talked about how you can sort by the column heading and grab a group of people. So say I wanted to sort my work group and I wanted to send messages. You can actually send messages through the member database as well. I can actually just click randomly on people that I want to actually send a message to, or if I click to this one next to member, it would click everybody and I could just send a message to an entire group. And you can send an email and a text, just an email or just a text, and that would go out to everybody. And one of the nice things about this too is everything that is being done in the system is being tracked. We have, and I'll touch on this a little bit later, but in the reports we have a system log. And that will track everything in the system. So as I'm sending out a message or I'm changing an access level, it's all documented in there. So it's makes the system very accountable for everybody. Also with the member database, of course, you can export this information as well or use the printer-friendly version and print it if needed. And as I mentioned, adding a member, you would simply click on the box just to add member, and you can create a brand new person in here. Okay, moving on to the schedules. I just wanted to touch on the schedules here, the schedule views. If you come into the schedule views, there's a lot of different ways to view this information. The monthly calendar view is this one. This is one of my favorites, actually. It's going to show all of the schedules or whatever schedules you want to view, along with the additional schedule information. So as we talked about this filtering here, this is where if I wanted to see every single schedule that I have in the system, I could display them all. or I can take off the ones that I don't really want to see at this time. Maybe I'm looking for something in particular, and you can narrow that down as well. If I want to see the open shifts, I can click that as well. And then any additional information, or schedules, I should say. So if you want to see the trades that are going on or the time off, we can click on those as well and apply. So in this case, up at upper right-hand corner, obviously we can toggle between the different months that are that we can go to. And we also have the different tabs here. This is our monthly calendar view. We've got a monthly roster view. So they're all different ways to look at it. Custom can be just a specific date range or by pay period that you want to see something. The weekly, we have blocks view as well as the shifts view. And then of course by day, we've got daily blocks and daily summary as well. So a few different ways to look at the information. So coming back to the monthly one, I did want to point out within this view that there are some things that you can do right from the calendar view itself, especially obviously if you're a top level administrator or supervisor and you have more access to making changes and things like that in the system. If you actually hover over a date in here, you actually can edit the schedules for that day, or you can also add an event. So there might be things going on that you want to let people know about. You could put that into the system here, location of it, any kind of description, enter in the time that it takes place, and you can choose which work groups are able to see or access levels are able to see the event that you're adding. And you can also make it repeat if you would like. As I add that, you're going to see that we now have this little brown section here that lists the events that's going on, and people can see what's going to be happening then. The other thing that we have, you can see we have a red exclamation point. In Aladtec, we actually allow minimum staffing requirements by schedule. So in this case, based on the setup, if I were to click on this, this is a warning telling me that I am violating a staffing requirement on here, that I've only got 2 out of the 3 that I'm required to staff. And so that's where you can be notified and make some changes as necessary. And as you can see, we have an open shift to fill because it is in purple and it's open. So that just indicates that it's an open position. The other things you might see is the blue envelope here, and that is a way to send a coverage alert. So we see that we have an open position here that we need to fill. I can go ahead and click on the blue envelope. I can check mark the position that I'm looking to fill. And obviously there's a few others as well, but say I'm just looking right now for this officer position. The next step is in here is I can select the recipients that I want it to go to. It could go to all qualified individuals. That's going to be automatic here, but you can choose if you'd like to by individual that you want it to go to, or you can choose by work groups, or even choose by access levels of anybody in particular here. And then the third step we have is there's a couple of options. We can actually send it these simultaneous notifications, and this is where the entire message basically goes out, kind of a first come first serve. If you see it, you can sign up for it, and based on the settings in the system, they could either sign up for it and boom, they're on the schedule, or they can sign up for it and then the supervisor can decide out of people that submitted that they'd sign up for it, you can choose who's going to take the position. Or the other option we have is a staggered notification. And as it's labeled, it's basically the notification will go out one at a time. So it could be based on the profile that you set up, the staggered profile. It could be maybe seniority is the way you handle things. It can go out to the most senior person first. If they decline it, it goes to the next person and on down. And that can be, it's a variable basically. It can be seniority, it could be hours worked. That's something that you would set up in the system setup area. And then once you hit send, it's going to go ahead and go out to everybody. And this is just a preview of what the email or the text would look like. It lets them know that there's a position open, they need coverage, and they can go ahead and log into the system and sign up for it. All right. A few other things you can see is the time off we have here. This is just indicating, you know, who's off. I could also, if I wanted to cancel the approved time off, I could do so here. I also have somebody here who has already signed up for some positions. The little A indicates that it's now just waiting manager approval. So I could even do that and process it right from here. I can approve or deny, change the time off type if I want. But if I hit approve, it is now takes them off this purple box section, and it has now put them on the system. We also have trades, and as you can notice, everything is kind of color coded here. Trades have kind of this lime green color. And this again all shows that there is pending admin approval. And this is the trade between Kay. If I click on it, it's showing that Kay is looking to swap with Sue Heath for this particular shift. And we can either approve it or we can deny it. If we approve this trade request, we will still see that there is this trades section here, but it has now put Sue Heath on. And as you can see the one that they swapped with, you can see Kay is now working for Sue, and it has put her on here as well. And that's what these little green arrows indicate, is that there has been a swap in shifts. Another thing here you might notice this little yellow box, which actually is like a little sticky note. So for each schedule, you can always add a note, and it will just let people know. I can install test here. As they come into the schedule and look at it, there's a little sticky note. They can click on it and see what it says. So kind of another way to communicate with people. So one other thing before I leave this section is, if you are a supervisor or admin that's making changes in the system, there are shortcuts throughout the system as well to get to certain areas in the system. One shortcut here would be if I actually wanted to make a change to a particular schedule, I can hover over that schedule. I can hover over the date itself and edit schedule. And if I actually click on edit schedule, it's going to take me to what is called the hourly editor. And this is where I could make some day-to-day changes right from here. So I will come back to this screen, but I did want to show you that there's a lot of different shortcuts throughout the system to get to different areas. So the one thing I want to show you here is the My Schedule, and you'll have members looking at this one all the time, or even yourself. It's going to show your own schedule. As we can see on the left-hand side in the legends, everything is color-coded, if I can say that word. So you can see the blue is their scheduled shift time. If we have extra hours, time off, trades, and of course, here's the open shifts that are in purple that people can sign up for. So in this instance, if I wanted to have take time off, I could come in here, actually click on a shift itself. I can actually request a trade, or I can even just submit a time off. So if I do my submit time, because I'm an admin, I'm actually allowed to just go ahead and approve it because of that. But as a member, it would show with an A, waiting for admin approval. So in this case, I put them on right away because I can approve my own time off. You can change that where if they're a supervisor, they don't have to be able to approve their own time off. You can have that where they still have to go to their superior as well to get approval. And from here, of course, as well, they can sign up for shifts, the open shifts that are purple, they can sign up for that as well. I'm going to go into one other person, and this is just, see if this one shows me their availability here. I forgot which person has the availability. Here we go. In the system itself, you know, ways to sign up for things is either the open shifts, or they could also let you know what their availability is, if that's something your department does. In the setup, you can say, yes, I want people to be able to have to submit their availability. So in this case, it's very easy just to hover over and do edit availability. The member can come in and say, yep, I'm available to work on these days, add availability, and now your supervisor is going to know the days that you are available, or of course, you can do it as unavailable too. From here, you can also do request extra hours, as we talked about the trade requests, time off, that kind of thing can all be done from here. We also have the share my schedule, where if they want to, if a member wants to share their schedule to their personal calendar, Outlook, Gmail, whatever, they can do that as well. And there are some just simple instructions for them to walk through and get that to sync up. So now to show you a couple of things here on actually adding to the schedule, let me go back to our top level administrator here. And this section here is for top level administrators or supervisors. So there's a couple ways to actually put in your schedules. We have the repeats rotations, and this is where any kind of shifts that repeat can be used through the repeats and rotations. We put it in once, and then it will populate as far out as we choose. So in this case, I'm going to select this Frankie Barber just as an example. This particular schedule, we're going to select a position. And say for now, we just want to put them in as a weekly. We'll start today, and I'm just going to go ahead and do, I'll just throw in some dates and see if this works here. And enter in the time frame that you want to go ahead and schedule them. We would select continue. And in this case, I actually ran into well, this one here actually is showing me I have block time in the way, so it's not going to add them in there. It lets me know if there's any conflict. In this case, I got quite a bit of conflict because I have shifts that are blocked. I can go ahead and process through this and add them on the times that are here, or it allows me to come back and say, okay, I better fix that and look into it more to get them onto the system. So it's a quick process to just come in, and it will add them right to the system so that they would see let's see if I can find an example here. Put this person in here. I'm just going to do it once so we can show it go through. Oh, that one didn't do it. Thought I had prepped one here so I could show you what it would look like. Well, it doesn't seem to be doing it for me. If I confirm changes, it's going to come right back around, and it's going to show me that, okay, this person is working, you know, for this time on that day on Tuesdays from 6 to 6. If I want to look at their schedule, and we can see that they are now added to that as well. Okay, so moving on, so that's the repeats and rotation section. The other portion we have is basically, as I mentioned, the hourly editor, which is kind of making your day-to-day changes. And so from here, we can actually, as people that are scheduled, we can go ahead and modify, make some changes. If we need to have them stay a little later, we can go ahead and extend it out. It's some drag and drop. So if I actually have somebody, let's see if I have one here that I need a position filled. Say I needed to fill this position here. If I click on the position, I'm going to get a list of people down below that are qualified to work that position. And so I can see these people are already scheduled. This person is on time off. But if I wanted to pull this person in, I can actually just drag and drop. And it tells me that, hey, they were approved, but do you want to override that and put them on? Yes. And it will go ahead and slide them right into that slot. So it's pretty easy to go ahead and make changes. You can even submit time off for people right from here, or we have what we call time types. We just have regular time type, but maybe have overtime or training, volunteer, whatever it is, you can change that from here as well. A lot of information that goes on in here as well. We can go ahead and, you know, just add people right from here. We can take people off, and even down below here, I can make that even more filtered to show additional information. If I wanted to, if I was going to fill a position that I had 2 people signed up for, I can say, oh, maybe I'm going to look by seniority, and I'll give it to the person with the most seniority based on the date hired that's listed here. So a lot of information that can be shown there to help you make these decisions. Then just moving on, I know we are cutting a little bit short on time here, so I'm just going to briefly go through some of our forms. We do have a number of forms in here. As I mentioned, if you wanted to start with a form, we can either do a blank form, or we have over 200 pre-made forms to start with, and you can use them as is. You can make modifications to it. These were actually all taken from with the help of our customers. So all of these are ones that you would actually see some of our customers using. So as I said, you can grab one of them and you can start modifying it. It's similar to the configurator in the member database. We've got fields you can add in, and it's simply drag and drop. We can add new sections in here. We do even have the option of attachments. So if there's something, maybe you're doing a vehicle maintenance and you want to be able to show a picture of some damage or something like that, you could drop that in, add files. There's also notifications. We have particular field notifications, and we have overall form notifications. So as soon as somebody submits a form, fills it out, submits it, you can actually have it set to go to a certain person, to a work group access level, and then they would be notified that, hey, this person submitted this form. There's also other things where you can modify forms. You can look at the reports, you know, give access to that. So there's a lot of information that can be captured here. And now we have all the forms, so you may have a whole bunch of forms being submitted. And so just so you know that you can go into the reports from forms and you can see each one of those as well and pull out information from that too. So that's another place to look. And then we have our reports itself. We've got everything from our scheduled time report, which you can, again, use your filtering to pull out information, whether you want to include extra hours, time off, if it's just a certain schedule that you want to see, or a particular position. Or maybe you want to pull up everybody that has overtime, so you uncheck everything, but you know what, overtime I want to see. So you can pull that information in. In this case, I didn't have anything in there. Pull this one up. Whoops. Pull this one. Oh, that's back. So then also we have the different toggles of how you want to see the information, and you can do date ranges as well. A few of the other ones we've got a payroll report as well. We have an entire payroll module in setup where you can specify shift differential, whether you want to use holiday pay. You can set up pay profiles and pay codes. We also have the feature of a time clock kiosk as well. So you can choose between, do I want to pay by time clock information or by scheduled time data? So that's always an option too. So those are something that gets kind of pre-set up in the back end, and then you can run these reports for all your information. And then we touched base a little bit on the system log. Basically, it tracks everything that is done in the system, who it affected, and who actually took the action. So it's a great accountability piece in here as well. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is just the storage. We have a great storage capacity here. A lot of people use it for, like here, the standard operating procedures, HR information, training documents, lot of storage space here that you can keep everything in one location. Same with the forms. It's really great to have everything in one centralized location instead of having papers going everywhere. So it's a great place here. And then, of course, just as you know, with the system itself, if you were to purchase it as a customer, we provide all kinds of information. We have a whole section on help videos, some blogs. Of course, we have our customer support that's free, and all that information for you, and we continue to do monthly tech tips. So just to make sure that we're giving you what you need and that we are here for you with any questions. So that kind of summarizes the overview of the system. That pretty much wraps it up. And I think we're okay on time here, so that's great. So I just wanted to let you know, I appreciate you guys joining with us today. It was a pleasure to show this to you, and if you had any questions, make sure you give us a call. We're happy to walk through things with you. If you are interested in the demo, please sign up for that as well. But we are here for you for that as well. So thanks again, and you guys have a great rest of your day.